$1,500 renewal grant to Open Communities to continue the Evanston Landlord-Tenant Program. The city has partnered with Open Communities to provide landlord-tenant services to Evanston residents and property owners since August 1st, 2011. The period of services funded would be from January 1st to December 31st, 2017. And the funding source is the city's Affordable Housing Fund. Can I have a motion for action, please?
Move approval.
And a second? Okay. Are there any, okay, Alderman Rainey.
I would like to know if the people who are involved in the program are here so that we can meet them.
Sure. I believe we have at least one person from Open Communities here. Would you?
I'm a tenant now, and I want to know when I have a complaint who I'm going to be talking to.
Okay, great. Yes.
Hello, Alderman Rainey and members of the Planning and Development Committee. I'm happy to introduce Fareed Mohammed. He is our landlord-tenant liaison. He is right here. He has office hours at the Civic Center every 9 to 12 every Thursday.
Thank you. Appreciate the support from the city of Evanston. And if you have any questions, I have office hours. If you have any questions now, I'm available.
Yeah, Alderman Holmes. Oops, I'm sorry.
So I've heard so much about you, and I know all about you, but I've never actually seen you, and I just wanted to know who we were talking about. So thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, Alderman Holmes.
You're only here on Thursdays from 9 to 12. What happens with the number of calls that come in? Are you able to handle those on?
Yes, ma'am. Recently, 4 months ago, we hired an intake specialist, so that was very helpful in streamlining the calls that we're getting. And also, we have walk-in hours available for tenants as well.
At that 9 to 12?
9 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday.
No, I'm talking about here in Evanston when you're here on Thursdays.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only time you're here, right?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. 9 to 12 every Thursday.
And so Evanston residents see you then. That's what I'm getting at.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when you call the number now, you're saying that they're intake people. Are there live people answering, or are you getting the voicemail?
When an Evanston resident calls,
Well, anyone, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about Evanston residents, of course.
they'll get an intake specialist. They'll
Rather
do,
than an automated person.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yeah, Alderman Rainey.
How do you decide 9 to 12? That, if a person works, that's a really difficult, I mean, if a person's paying rent, they've, and you know, unless they're being supported, they have a job. How, is there any thought of having other hours?
That's a good question. We can certainly look into that. For the 9 to 12, they're walk-in hours, and they're when clients can schedule appointments with Fareed, but they can certainly schedule appointments outside of those hours as well to meet with him. But we can see if there's a better hour time frame that would work better.
But a person could call and make an appointment with you for your other office, right? So
Correct.
that's not a problem. No.
Correct.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? All right. Ready for item number 2. The Housing, Homelessness, and Human Relations Commission and staff recommend approval of 2 forgivable loans in the not-to-exceed amounts of $252,662 in home funds and $326,502 in affordable housing funds to Community Partners for Affordable Housing for the acquisition and rehabilitation of 2 affordable rental housing units. Funding is from the Home Investment Partnership Program and the city's Affordable Housing Fund. Do I have a motion? Thank you. And a second? Second for somebody? Okay, thank you. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion, Alderman Wilson.
Thanks. And I do like the program, and I do like the organization. I have to be honest, though, I have some pause on the amount per unit that we're looking at spending. I understand that we have a significant amount of money it's kind of use it or lose it by July, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, which is roughly half of the amount we're looking at. Can we do something with just the amount that we're going to lose? I don't know what the options are here. I don't know if we have any options.
Sure.
I'm not thrilled about this option, though, just on the cost basis.
Madam Chair and members of the Planning Development Committee, Alderman Wilson. So to address your question, we have about 39,000 in CHOTA reserve that has to be used by July 31st of this year. And then I think there's a balance of about 90,000 or so that another 2015 funds that also has to be used by July 31st. The difficulty is trying to find a project. So with home funds, you can only put so much money into a unit. There's a home subsidy layering unit or limit. So that makes it so we have to put other funds in as well. And then to get the building and the project to cash flow, you have to do more of the local funds in, and then you can only do one unit at 60% AMI and one unit at 80% AMI in order to make it cash flow. So I know it seems like it's a high cost. These are also up to funds. If we find something that's less cost, we'll obviously just do whatever is the least amount. And then when you look at other projects that we've done over the years with NSP, some of the acquisition costs we've looked at are more like $315,000 per unit. So this is really kind of on par with some of the other stuff we've done in the past.
Okay, so we have 39,000 at risk for July.
Correct. We have $39,000 in the CHOTA reserve that is at risk for July 31st. Sure.
Okay.
Sarah Flax, Housing and Grants Administrator. I would like just to explain something about the CHOTA reserve, because it's right now we have that money that we need to commit. But CHOTA reserve is something we get every year, and every year we have 15% of our home funds are designated by HUD for a CHOTA reserve project. We have no flexibility on this. We've tried to say, well, we've used more CHOTA reserve in the past, but ever since they went to this new grant-based accounting, there is no waiver of CHOTA reserve for any given period of time. We have 3 organizations that have been CHOTOs in the past or are CHOTOs. We contacted all of them and said, we would like to try to figure out a way to use our 2015, 2016, and ideally, if we ever get a budget, our 2017 CHOTA reserve all in one project, because otherwise we are not going to be able to figure out a way to use it. It's too small an amount to be used in a single project. It has to be bricks and sticks. It cannot be TBRA, tenant-based rental assistance. And there are truly onerous requirements for CHOTA reserve. One of the things is a CHOTO must remain in CHOTO status the entire 15 years of the affordability period. And if they fall out of CHOTO status, the participating jurisdiction, in other words, us, we have to be able to move ownership of the project to another CHOTO. Now, the world is having fits about this. However, it is the regulations. So frankly, if it's not just this year's CHOTO, it's all of these CHOTO reserves. Neither of the other 2 organizations were interested in applying for CHOTO reserve. So we're really at a situation where we may have to do what some other participating jurisdictions are doing. They're simply giving the money back to HUD. And, I hate to see money that we could use, and realistically, when I look at the cost per unit in scattered site that we did in NSP and what we've done before, these are not out of line for 3-bedroom units.
No, I understand. Let me ask this. For the $39,000, I think I know the answer to the question, but could it be utilized to, for example, make repairs on existing stock? Nothing like that, right?
Nope.
It's just for new units.
No, well, it's for, they have to be long-term affordable units, but the problem with CHOTO projects is they have to be owned by the CHOTO. So you can't use it for something that isn't owned by a CHOTO. I got to tell you, there's some of the worst regulations. That's the one thing, if the current administration would get rid of the CHOTO reserve, which HUD has recommended and everybody's been lobbying for, we would all love it, but we're stuck with it.
Is there, so, what's that? I hesitate to send the money back, but I'm also not really excited about this level of expenditure. So I kind of feel like I need more information, honestly. Could we maybe, is there any danger in putting this to the next meeting, next committee meeting, holding it in the committee, so we can just have you give us more information on lack of options or?
Well, why don't we ask?
Well, we
Greg?
have a couple of other aldermen who have a question. Can we?
Oh, I'm sorry. I
It's
didn't see
okay.
that.
Alderman Rainey was next.
Is housing options,
Eligible.
how? Housing
Housing options for women is
that a
not
CHOTO?
currently a CHOTO, no. HODC and REBA have both been CHOTOs, and
HODC is doing some work on their properties. Can't we give it to them?
we can't use it for that because with home, you have to do comprehensive rehab.
They could use some company. All right, I want to say one other thing. If we continue down this path with affordable housing, spending $500,000 for 2 units of affordable housing, let's just say this is the model. That means a project like the 831 Emerson that's going down the drain more or less tonight, that's proposing 2 million,
2 million.
0.4 to the Affordable Housing Fund. Do you know that produces 9 units of affordable housing? That is outrageous. That is a total waste of money. That is just a total waste of that money. I proposed a project during the campaign that would provide 50 families, 3 years of affordable rental housing for $2 million. And I'm going to take it to the city once the election has been certified. And I am going to encourage the city to embark on it. And this is just such a huge waste of money. We desperately need quote unquote affordable housing in this town. But to do this, it's just unbelievable. I went and looked at a condo. It sold this past month for $302,000. 3,106 square feet, I think it was. The most exquisite rehab job I've ever seen. The most beautiful unit you can imagine, with the most gorgeous appliances and finishes, just amazing. $302,000. Over 3,000 square feet. Perfect condition. The assessments, $500 a month. The taxes, under $4,000 a year. Just paying that, a family could afford that. Buy it outright. For us to go down this path, it's just crazy.
Madam Chair, I think we've maybe forgotten to do the public comment. Did we have people signed up?
Good point. We did. Yes, thank you. Could we,
Developer fees.
Alderman Nguyen, could we wait and have our public comment?
Sure.
Because
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have Sarah Vander Wicken. I'm sorry.
That's all right. And I wasn't really able to hear very well what you were saying, Alderman Rainey, but I think I'm about to say what you were saying. And that is that I am really ignorant of all the what has been going on and what the details are. But to see this amount of money going to 2 units, 84% of the home funds as listed in here, and 1/3 of the Affordable Housing Fund, when all these building developments are occurring, really popular, really needed, et cetera, that they can't build into those affordable housing units is just insane to me. And, there's a real need, it's a good market, and apparently Highland Park is doing a really good job at being, clear. You've got to build the units in. You have to do this. That's just part of the deal. And developers are screaming, but they're doing it. And I think you've got to get serious here with these people. We need the units. The housing fund is peanuts if we're talking about how much it costs to do the rehab. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Please require developers to build in affordable units.
Thank you. Okay, we had Alderman Nguyen and then Alderman Holmes.
Well, I think my question was, and it may have been answered, because, I look at this number, and of course, as Alderman Rainey said, we have, if you look at what we have in our affordable housing fund, it's not very much money. Are there alternative uses? And I'd love to hear Alderman Rainey's plan, that where we get a much bigger bang for these affordable housing dollars. And I agree with you, Sarah, you never want to send money back, but it feels like we're spending, as Alderman Wilson was just saying, we're spending $500,000 to save 39.
Let me try to frame it a little differently. Keep in mind that with these units, we have affordable housing for a minimum of 15 years. That's the home requirement. SEPA keeps its units affordable for 99. When you do a voucher program, you are helping people immediately right then. You have no protection in the long term. Once the money is spent, it is gone on that one family. So it's really a very different equation. And I think there are two aspects to affordable housing that we need to keep in mind. One is affordable units that are income restricted for long periods of time. And then I think we also need voucher programs to help people in certain circumstances. But if they need affordable housing longer than a 2 to 5 year period, in the Home TBRA program, for example, we are spending between $10,000 and $12,000 a year per household. So we had $500,000 that we allocated the first time, and we served 22 families over a period of 3 years. That's great. Most of them went on to become stable, but not everybody who needs affordable housing is going to go on to become stable. So that's the balancing act. And the costs per unit for these very large units, believe it or not, are very much in line with what we spent in NSP2. Now, NSP2, we paid less for acquisition, but we paid a boatload for rehab. And since then, property values have increased. That's our market. And also the cost of rehab has increased. But we did spend one project that was a 2-unit in NSP, spent $272,000 per unit. Another one, which was 2-bedroom units, not 3-bedroom, was $235,000 per unit. So when you think of the period of time these units are going to be affordable, and when you're putting a unit where you have a 3-bedroom unit and somebody is able to rent it for less than $1,000 with a 2 or 3% increase over the period of time, that's a pretty good value when you start looking at it for 15 up to 99 years.
Okay, Alderman Holmes.
Well, I'm going to make my one last plea about affordable housing. I want you all to stop throwing that affordable around, because affordable really means what you can afford in terms of how much money you make. So for all those people who make under 60% of the median income in this community, and there are a lot of people who do, this is not going to be affordable for them.
That's true.
And, we've just got to do something different here. We really do. And I hear you saying people who need a voucher, they may need help. There are folk who make $30,000 a year working on jobs, been working on them for years. Good, decent people who can't afford to live here anymore. That's troubling for me. And I think that we have a responsibility to do something about it. And I hear your argument about this. It's a good one, but it still doesn't answer my need for affordable housing for not only, and I'm not just talking about the Fifth Ward. Believe me, I'm just not talking about the Fifth Ward. There are folk all over this community. Well, I won't say all over this community, but in 3 wards that I'm sure of, who will not be able to rent even these units. So I just have to say it, because we forget, we say affordable, and everyone starts to shake their head. Yes, this is going to be affordable, but it's not affordable for everyone.
Thank you.
Well, absolutely, but I mean, even those 2 units won't be affordable, some of the people who need it.
Alderman Holmes, I do hope that if IDA funds Housing Opportunities for Women project, we will be coming back for gap funding for that. That is 16 units of housing for people at or below 30% of area median, where they will pay 30% of their income, and the rest is taken up, paid for by project-based vouchers. That's a different need and a different system. It is very much needed, but we have to balance many things.
Right, yeah. Okay, so committee, what is your pleasure? Alderman Wilson, did you want to hold it? Or?
I'd like to hold it to the next committee meeting just to see if you can come up with anything. You know, I realize it's probably not going to happen, but rather than just throw it out now. Does that work for everybody?
Alderman Rainey?
Also, if we could have some idea of what properties we're looking at. We have no idea what you're looking at.
Well, we do have, and we can discuss this with SEPA, one of the difficulties, and we've done this with scattered site projects in the past, the minute we start talking about
I know.
interest,
But-
the people selling them also start
Well, I
raising
know,
prices.
But we are the city council, and we can go into executive session, and we
Sure.
do that when we're buying properties.
That's
That we're-
absolutely something we
we're
can do.
We're allowed to do that, because I think I would really like to know, what are we looking at? You
Okay.
know, and we have no idea.
We can certainly do that, absolutely.
You could stay late with us some night.
Right.
Madam
Stay
Chair.
late, right.
Madam Chair, may I just ask, is there an issue if we hold this to the next meeting?
I think we're getting to the point where we need to give SEPA the go-ahead to start actually negotiating pretty soon, or we risk running out of time. But realistically, I don't want to try to push the council or the committee if you're not ready to make a decision. I think that's inappropriate. So.
Okay, yeah, then we should hold it.
Okay, so we're holding this item until our next meeting. How about the 8th? Yep, right. Okay, our next item is Ordinance 42-0-17, major adjustment to a plan development at 1881 Oak Avenue. Staff recommends adoption of this ordinance for approval of a major adjustment to a plan development at 1881 Oak Avenue, also known as E2. The applicant proposes to reduce the number of required parking spaces, currently 353, by 25%, or 88 spaces, in order to lease those spaces to the public. And the applicant has agreed to a one-time $5,000 contribution to the City of Evanston's Divvy program as a public benefit. Do I have a motion for introduction?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing no lights. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. And Ordinance 38-0-17, granting a special use for a business vocational school, Knowledge Systems Institute at 820 Davis Street. The Zoning Board of Appeals and city staff recommend adoption of this ordinance granting a special use approval for a business vocational school, Knowledge Systems Institute at 820 Davis Street in the D3 Downtown Core Development District. The applicant has complied with all zoning requirements and meets all of the standards for a special use for this district. And Alderman Wilson is recommending suspension of the rules for introduction and action at this meeting.
Move approval.
Okay. Any discussion? Comments? All in favor, then please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Any items for discussion, staff, or communications? Then we'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So
moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. How about 5 minutes till 10 of 8 for city council meeting?